What's up, guys? My name's Sujan,
My name's Aaron.
My name is Tamiem.
and we're just some guys sitting here in an office on a Saturday talking about whatever comes to our mind. What's the name?
Trying to attempt to start a podcast. So this
Yeah,
is the attempt one.
We still don't know what the name is, though.
Should we figure it out on the first episode? Let's do it. First geners? You want to start with first geners?
I think first geners make sense because we're all first generation Americans. And we want to talk about our perspective and point of view from our living experience.
So you guys are from Afghanistan, your family.
Yep.
And my family is from Nepal. So even though we're both Asians, different parts of Asia, it's when we talk, we'll find out how crazy it is that there's so many parts of our lives that intersect culturally, maybe even food-wise, musically. I think all those things kind of put into perspective, right? How small the world really is, how interconnected we are, even from a language perspective.
Mm-hmm.
What's your opinion on that?
I guess it's weird growing up here because I'm not as close to the culture and to the language as I want to be. So I'm not too familiar with a lot of... So like, for example, I'm learning Turkish right now, and I'm using this app, Preply, and a lot of the Turkish language overlaps with Farsi. And she's explaining that to me, but I really don't know that much Farsi, So she knows more than I do. So it's a little
Who's
bit...
she?
My tutor.
Oh,
my
okay.
tutor, yeah. So the overlap, I'm sure there's a lot of overlap between the Nepali language and the culture too.
Yeah.
But it's just hard to know when you sort of, I don't know, grow up here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I think for us also, in speaking Nepali, there are tons of overlap with even Hindi. I mean, all of them come from your similar foundational language, which is Sanskrit. So there's a ton of overlap there. Do you speak Farsi too?
Yeah, I speak Farsi.
Yeah. Anything else you speak?
Farsi, some Spanish, maybe I can understand it conversationally, but mainly English. I mean, I can understand Farsi 100%, but speaking it, I'm good. It's just slow from like my brain to my mouth. You know what I mean? So It's just like I'd rather speak English because I have so much I'm thinking about that I want to just get out as fast as possible. But when you're born in Texas, I think the difference with being from like Nepal and Afghanistan is that you can go back to Nepal pretty easy, right? Like it's not as complicated to go and to see where your family's from and your roots, and it's just a little more complicated from the part of the world that we're from because it's just kind of a little more chaotic. So there is a lot of similarities, but it has taken us maybe a long time to understand how similar we are because we as first generation Americans and Texans are learning about our Afghan roots like later in life because we're curious about it, right? It's not something that like we grew up with. So yeah, no, I can speak Farsi.
Yeah. And you've never been able to like go back, due to the political climate there. Have you gone back?
No, I wish.
Yeah.
No. I mean, they say it's safe and it's easier to go back when you have family that's like currently living there, but we just don't have much family. We have some maybe more distant family, but not close enough family to go and to be comfortable and to have like kind of a guide. But again, they say that it's not as bad as it maybe is perceived to go. It just hasn't been on our cards to go yet. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So you guys both grew up in Texas, right?
Yeah. Born and raised.
So
yeah. Where were you? Where did you grow up? Where were you born?
So I was born in Nepal.
Oh, okay.
I was born in Nepal, moved with the entire family.
Damn, so you're not a first gener. You're...
Listen, man, I'm
Damn.
Why
okay.
not? I am a first gener, isn't it?
No, first generation.
First gener is first generation American.
So
I pretty much like grew up here.
I didn't know you.
Yeah,
So how old were you when you got here?
I was young, 7.
Okay.
So I spent almost a
Your
decade.
English is better than mine, brother.
Wait,
Your English is better than mine. He came here when he was 8, bro. I was born here.
See, when did you get your citizenship?
We came in with our so take a step back. So we came under so the United States does this thing called diversity visa. So it's a lottery system that they offer a certain number of visas to a select country. So they say, let's say hypothetically, they say we're offering 100,000 diversity visas to these countries. So a combination of certain number of people from those countries get a lot of these visas. So back home in Nepal, you sign up for these visas. Typically, you know, your parents or whoever the head of the household is, they would sign up for this lottery, and if you get the lottery, then you pretty much have, you know, a free pass to come here with your green card. Like fully, you're all set. And then once you have a green card, 5.5 years at the time that we came, I think it was 5.5 years. Once you have your tax returns and everything, then you can apply for naturalization. Since I was under 18, my dad applied for naturalization, and I just automatically got it through him. Nice. But the crazy story was my dad didn't even apply for the lottery. So in Nepal, I think Nepal has a population maybe 58, 60 million roughly. So I want to say about 1 million people apply for this lottery in Nepal. Maybe 20, 30,000 people get it. So the way they do this is they have kind of like a two-step process where they eliminate kind of half of the people right away, meaning let's say 100,000 people applied, they say to the 50,000 people, okay, you made it past the first round.
Now, how did they pick that 50,000? It's like a coin toss?
It's like a completely random lottery system, yeah. And then after that, amongst the people that made it past the first round, then they further reduce that down to the next set of people. So my dad's cousin is the one that actually signed him up. So he signed him up, and he signed up my dad's brother as well. And both of them ended up getting selected on the first round. But on the second round, only my dad ended up getting selected. So my uncle, he didn't get the lottery. So my dad won the lottery. And, you know, I'm like, I think 7, 8 or something at this time. So I have no idea, you know. And back then, this is 2003, 4-ish is when this whole thing happened. Our entire family's going crazy. Oh, my goodness, you know, you guys are going to America. I'm running around the school. I'm going to America. You know?
And then, so then what's the draw for someone in Nepal? Like, why are you excited to go to America?
It's the biggest reason is financial freedom. So the American dream is a very real perspective of how people look at America from outside of here. Yeah. Nepal, and I'm not sure, like maybe Afghanistan might be somewhere similar. The opportunities are very limited, right? Just because you're there, just because you're working, doesn't mean, you know, you have the ability to go take care of your family. So my dad, he was a year off from finishing up law school, actually, but he didn't see the future there. So he said, all right, you know, we're all going to go. So he came here. He came about 6, 7, 8 months before us, and, you know, kind of settled in. I think he worked at, you know, imagine somebody studying to like finish up their law degree, coming in here. He worked at like Dunkin' Donuts, gas stations, right? Your typical, you know, immigrant story, right? So that's kind of how we got our start in America.
When you grew up in Nepal, do you have like memories of it? Was it like safe? Was it something where you're like excited to leave, or did you want to stay?
I was very excited to come to America just because it was something new.
Because of the hype?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Okay. It was, you know, man, you're gonna go earn in dollars. You guys are gonna be rich. You know that.
Did you guys grow up like kind of poor, or like was it like?
Yeah, we went through I think we went through a couple of different financial stages growing up. So my grandfather's father, you know, my great grandfather, I remember him. He was alive when I was born. He was there pretty much through, I want to say, the first 7, 8 years of my life too, before he passed away. He and his father had a lot of property. We still have the saying where, like, when I go back home in Nepal, and we go to. It's a very common thing to have two homes in Nepal, where you have like a home in the city and your home in the country, because everybody comes from the country. You know, Nepal is a farming country.
Yep.
So as the country modernized, then you build a home in the city. So whenever we go to our home in the country, there's still a saying where like we go stand in front of our home, and Nepal's a very like hill mountainous terrain where like you can see everything below you. You know, we're on like a mountain. The saying was that everything we saw belonged to us, you know, going as far back as you can see. But a lot of people, allegedly a lot of people have stolen a lot of those properties, but we were one of the first people back in 2000, like whenever I was born, 1996, 7, to have a vehicle. We're one of the first people to have a vehicle there.
That's like a movie. Like the Starks, when they're like, everything to the left is Winterfell, everything to the right is Winterfell.
It was like exactly
that?
like that.
Dang,
it was
that's
exactly
dope.
like that. Where I remember asking them, hey, you know, so like, which one's our land? I still have this memory. Well, now or before? You know, like that was like the
You're
question.
like, where the sky meets the land is our land. That's awesome.
So it was it was like that, you know, where when I was born, we were very wealthy. We're very wealthy, and we had farmers in our land. Just, you know, we grew a ton of crops, sold it. You know, we were able to buy a home in the city, build it for cash at the time, which was like insane, you know, to be able to do it. But then I want to say maybe 5-6 years after, we made a series of poor financial decisions, and I think after that it was. After that, until we came here, was I would say probably, you know, we were like struggling financially.
So, what was I going to say? Now that your family's been here, because like our family, there's like a sense of community that's missing here, you know? So like, I don't know if it's not being around a lot of people that share the same values, or the American culture is like super hustle and all you have to think about is like work and money. A lot of my family's thinking about sort of leaving or moving to another country or to another city. Does your family miss Nepal, or are they satisfied being here? Like, is it something where they've accepted the American like sort of culture or situation, or they're like, hey, like, no, we kind of miss being farmers in Nepal, like let's go back kind of thing?
No, I've told my parents, like, even if like, hey man, you guys don't need to work, just like, if you want to go back, it's fine, you know, we can buy a house there, you chill. They're like, no man, I will live here and I will die in America. I'm not going back to Nepal.
Okay, good,
nice.
Good. Cool. Yeah.
Well, I think that just shows the difference. I don't think that, I mean, obviously, like you said, everybody shares that perspective outside of America. It's a very common shared perspective that this is a land of opportunity, and you can come, and even if you start from nothing, you can get somewhere and be successful financially. But I don't really think that's the reason why our family came here. I think that their lives were good enough financially. I just think it was a different circumstance. I think it was just a war-torn country. I think they were tired of that, and they wanted to, you know, just be somewhere where they have opportunity to be, you know, successful financially, but also just kind of safety, a little more consistency, and just not have to deal with like the mess of Western and Eastern powers kind of going at it, right? So, but I don't know enough, you know. These are conversations sometimes that I wish I had in more depth with my grandpa, and like, hey, what was the like main reason and what drove you here? But, you know, I think it is just from the war, right? I don't know. You know, I could be wrong.
What's like you guys' families or your perspective on like what, you know, what's going on in Afghanistan?
I don't think we think about that too much.
Yeah. Do you have family? Do you guys have family there still?
Not anymore.
Yeah.
No, I don't think we think about it as much. Maybe my uncles like think about it, but even when they think about like retiring and into the sunset and just just having a life of just, you know, a calm, like civil, just chill life, they don't think about going back to Afghanistan as much as they think about going to like a country like Turkey, where there's like you're by the water, you know, there's the Bosphorus, but you know, it's a Muslim country, you know, there's very, you know, similar, like we talked about, food and tradition and dynamics and community that's a little closer to home. But with also the added benefit of just like having kind of safety and a little bit more freedom maybe. So it's not something that we think of. I think going to visit and, you know, staying close to a culture is something that we think about, but I don't think we think about like, I don't think we have too many like opinions about the politics in Afghanistan and like what's actually happening. And
because you're so like far disconnected from it.
Super disconnected, and there's no like real turnaround, right? I think, and again, this is where we need to have some kind of fact-checking system, but I think it's like 93% of the world's opium comes from Afghanistan. So that is like something that will always, like the minerals and the opium and just the, you know, what that country has is what these bigger powers want, and so they'll always be putting their hands in that part. There's always going to be conflict in that part of the world. So it's just like, what are you going to do about that, you know?
I guess what's similar too about Nepal and Afghanistan is that it's very hard to conquer that area, right? Like because of the mountains, because of just the geographical landscape. Nepal's never been conquered, right?
No, it's something we take, you know, huge pride in. There have been attempts, but particularly the Himalayas have been a great safety net in protecting Nepal from, you know, invasions. I think in the past, the British have tried, you know, invading Nepal. I know there have been several other instances where even the Chinese have tried, maybe not China, but, you know, some time back in history. But fortunately, the way the Himalayas are and being able to cross over to Nepal is almost an impossible task for anyone.
That's where the mountainous region does come in handy for those parts of the world. But why would China want Nepal? Just for more land? Or is there something there that they want?
Yeah, Nepal's really big on... Nepal has... and maybe this might also be a way to fact check, but what I've always been told is in terms of water resources, natural resources, Nepal ranks number 2 in the whole world. Brazil comes in at number 1. So Nepal has the ability to generate enough hydropower to power the continent of Asia.
So you think that a country that has those kind of resources like can export and be very rich?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, then.
Absolutely. Nepal has there's a lot of potential for Nepal to leverage the resources that it has for economic development. I think the problem is that the same thing that happened in Afghanistan is there are multiple external players trying to influence decision making in a way that benefits them and not Nepal.
Totally.
So you see that even in our political systems, where you'll see one, you know, Nepal has multiple different political parties. There's a political party that's very pro-India. There's a political party that's very pro-China. And then there's a political party that's pro-Nepal. But those, the third one is a more recent trend with, you know, kind of younger, mostly people that came to America, Australia, Europe, studied. Now their thought is, hey, let me go help develop, you know, my country.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
Yeah.
Should people go visit Nepal? Like, should people go, like, is it a good vacation spot?
100%.
Like,
Nepal's one of the biggest revenue sources for Nepal is tourism.
yeah.
Yeah. So Mount Everest, we get a lot of people wanting to do the base camp or even climb.
Did you see the first couple? It was like a clip I saw. The first couple that like went climbed Mount Everest. I don't know if it was the first Asian couple that ever did it or something like that.
Mount Everest is in Nepal?
Yeah.
Damn. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a clip recently online. It was like the first couple to climb Mount Everest, the first Asian couple or something.
Like together.
Together, yeah.
I think that there's always people like trying to make records, like, oh, first person to climb it 10 times, 15 times. It's insane now. I saw a video of
imagine going
is
up
that
there
fun? You think that's fun for them?
Imagine going up there with a girl and just arguing the whole time.
No, honestly, no.
It sucks, bro.
You just go like fall in the cracks just to end it all.
You go up 2, come back 1.
Honestly, no, that they should be studied.
Imagine climbing Mount Everest being the easier part of what you're doing.
Exactly. Damn.
what I guess that makes me think about another topic of fun. So like some people do rock climbing for fun. Some people like skydive for fun.
Yeah.
People do crazy stuff for fun. And if you ask them, oh, like I was talking to a girl the other day and she was like, oh, the funnest thing that I ever did was I went on a roller coaster with my dad when I was younger. And now I like really want to do skydiving like once before, like it's on my bucket list. And I was like, that doesn't sound like fun. I would never want to go skydiving. She was like, no, it's really fun. I want to do it. I want to try it. People do it. So then I started thinking about like what makes something really fun. Do you know what I mean? Because like I've also gone on a roller coaster in Disneyland with my parents and it was fun, but was it like the most fun that I've ever had? No, not even close.
Didn't want to make you jump out of a plane.
And I wouldn't jump out of a plane. That doesn't sound like fun either. So if I had to think, like, I guess the two questions that I have is one, like what makes something for you stand out as like the most fun experience that you've ever had? And then also two, what like makes something the most like fun? If you have to think about like what was fun for you back in the day, like is there a couple memories that come out like as like, oh, this was the most fun?
I think fun for me is not like in the moment experience. Like when I reflect back, the things that were the most fun for me are the things that when I think back, I enjoy thinking about those things. So where in that moment itself, I might not have been thinking, oh, this is so fun, right? Like an example, I don't know if you know, Aaron, but I spent 3 months in India this past summer, like for work. I was just traveling and I got to, to explore.
I'm sorry about that.
I knew he was going to say something.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
I mean, you survived though.
Yeah.
No,
I met some nice people.
Where'd you go?
I was in a few parts. I went to Hyderabad, Chennai, and New Delhi.
Nice.
So I was there, but in my time that I was there, I got to kind of travel here and there, and in the moments it just felt like something that I was doing. Like, oh yeah, this is cool. But now when I look back, there's specific moments of that trip that I'm like, oh man, that was really fun. Mm-hmm. So fun to me is more of like a reflective emotion, than just like, oh, this is fun, I want to do it again.
Well, what do you mean though? Like you're not having fun? Are you having fun right now?
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it, but like I think like the example of, oh man, I had so much fun that I want to go experience that.
Like
again,
yeah, exactly. Like it's a standout
again.
memory. It's like a standout memory that's something that was so much fun. Because like if I had to ask you like what was the most fun you've ever had, or like what was one of the most fun experiences you've ever had, like do you have standout memories? Because for some people it's skydiving, for some people it's climbing Mount Everest. So there are aspects of doing something that end up being the most fun you've ever had. But like a lot of people will skydive and only some of them will say this was the most fun thing I've ever done. Some of them would like, it was okay, it was fun, but it wasn't.
I think for me the most recent was just that the first time I got on a plane and I flew the plane.
Okay.
In the moment it was super scary, but like when we landed, I think what the type of feeling you're talking about, I was like, okay, dude, I want to do this like again.
Okay.
And again.
So the adrenaline, that is an important aspect.
Yeah, that
like
and just knowing, hey man, like this is something that I can do. And I think the freedom you feel like when you're flying and the controls you have and what you're able to do, I think that was probably the most recent thing that I can remember.
Yeah. Aaron, and pull up the clip of that podcast guy asking The Rock, like, what do you do for fun? What's his name? Speed, or his name is something. There's a recent clip that went viral, which ties into this conversation, where he asked The Rock, like, what do you do for fun? And then The Rock was just like, what do you mean? Like, I whatever you do for fun, I do for fun. Like, fun is the same. He's like, no. Yeah. Like, I'm curious, like, what you do for fun? And The Rock, like, kind of stood there and was like, didn't know what to say. He was like, oh, I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. Like, maybe I don't have fun. He's like, wait, you have so much money, you do this, you do that. Like,